The Lord be with you.
and with
and
your
your
spirit.
spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
The tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to hear Jesus. And Pharisees and the scribes grumbled, saying, "This man receives sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. What man of you, having 100 sheep, if he has lost one of them, does not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing, and when he comes home, he calls together his friends and his neighbors, saying to them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost." Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." Just so, I tell you, there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents. He said, there was one who had 2 sons. There was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me." And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger. I will rise and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring the fatted calf and kill it. Let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again, was lost and found.' And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and he came and drew near to the house and heard the music and dancing. And he called one of his servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, 'Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has received him back safe and sound.' But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him. But he answered his father, 'Look, these many years I have served you. I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes. You killed the fatted calf for him. And he said to him, Son, you're always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated. My dear friends in Jesus Christ, for some scholars, this is the best short story ever told, and author is Jesus. Definitely, prodigal son's story is an amazing story which gives an idea about Lord's love, Father's love, and mercy of God. My dear friends, we have to remember, we have to recall, without His mercy, we are done. We won't have anything. I mean, for me to stand in this altar and preach, if not for His mercy, how can I be worthy? So we have to remember, we have to always remind ourselves that it's His mercy. I don't deserve anything. I'm always accountable to Him. So that's exactly how the mercy of God is prominent in our lives. So it's our nature that we trod away, that we strand away, go away from the plan of God. Because when it comes to the world is with full of distractions. So we are easily distracted because of the worldly attractions. So that's exactly why we need His mercy and focus all the time. So in the first reading, it's a beautiful example how the people of God were lost. And in the gospel, how the coin is lost, how the sheep is lost, how the son is lost. And we find in the second reading, letter to Timothy, how the lost person is found, and once he is found, how the mission became so important in Paul's life. My dear friends, we need our senses always yearn for something tangible and sensible. We are led by the senses. So we need someone, we need to see, we need to hear, we need to feel, we need to understand. These all the senses, six senses, the mind. All the time we need it. So God, but we have to understand, God surpasses everything. You cannot fathom God. You cannot narrow down Him to our own understanding or to our own senses. In the last Sunday, the first reading beautifully says, how can you understand God's ways? And the strength of a disciple, Pute, shall we close Pute, can you close all the doors? Can you close all the doors? It is disturbing. So, thank you. So, it's important, Angelo, close that also. Oh, close that also. That door also. Angelo, yeah, close it. Okay, thank you very much. I'm speaking about distractions and then we are distracted. I mean, that's providence in a way. Anyway, so world is full of distractions. So what is in Hebrew, what is sin in Hebrew is hamatia. Can you all repeat, Pute? Hamatia. What? Not Matia in Sinhala, right? So Matia is also in Hamatia, that's another story. But then when it comes to Hamatia, you miss the focus. I mean, there are a lot of distractions in the world that you miss the focus. Now, you have to understand, when you fish, You put a worm or something, a bait, for that fish can be attracted, you know. So every person would have an attractive thing so that you will be distracted, right? So you have to understand it. And in a way, so now in my case, now, today we had our ordination, and we are given new appointments. Though I'm 3 years here, another 2 years, normally we have 5 years. So I'm transferred as the youth director. So, so that kind of thing. Now, I overheard this about 1 month ago. So that I will be getting this appointment. So what happened in my prayer, you know? This is my distraction. Then now I love to worship. I love to preach full time. If I have the chance to do, I will love to do that. So once this appointment that I overheard that I would be getting this, today only they announced it. So there is not, the cat is out of the bag, so no secret anymore. So maybe 1 month time I have to go from the parish, which of course a sacrifice that I have to make. Because I love to preach here, especially when it comes to preaching. I love preaching in my parish, the way you are attentive, and I can preach sometimes even 45 minutes, 1 hour. So you all bear with me. So I enjoy it. Right? You may be scolding inside. I don't know. Anyway, so that when I sit before the Blessed Sacrament, to be very frank, I get visions, you know. I get visions, the youth ministry and the youth center. It's completely, I have to build it from the beginning. And so I get all the vision. I can see the gate. I can see the path. I can see the plans, you know. I get all the ideas. And then what I'm going to do, it's a complete distraction. Complete distraction. So my distraction is not money in that way, a woman, and or anything else. The mission has become the distraction. So devil is so cunning, my dear friends. So what I should focus, the moment I have to look into my eyes of the Lord, sit before the Blessed Sacrament, enjoy the intimacy, my mind is full of Marthas, you know, full of things that I'm going to do in the mission. And it is a distraction. My dear friends, you have to understand. In the journey, the world is full of distractions. There's someone called Satan. Hasatan. Hasatan means Satan in Greek language, which means a distractor. Distractor. So you have to understand it. You have to understand it. So when we are speaking about mercy of God, no? So we are speaking about, wait a minute. We are speaking about mercy of God. So, so one day, this particular husband's wife is Mercy. There are Mercias and Mercy. I don't know whether there are Mercies here. Okay, this wife is Mercy, and she's a hard nut, you know. She's very cruel, not like you all. And so he had a secretary in the office called Grace. And Grace is really Grace, you know. Grace-filled office. He loved to be in the office, and they started a relationship, you know, kind of kuchu hota hai. And so he started praying, Lord. Wife is Mercy, no? And secretary is Grace. Lord, have mercy and give me grace. And the prayer was such. Anyway, my dear friends, there can be graceful distractions all the time. So you identify it in your journey. My dear friends, so in the wilderness, so it's an arduous journey. It's a difficult journey. Of course, God has His own ways, my dear friends. You can't understand His ways. To go to the promised land, literally, it might take about 14 days. They have a shortcut. Yet God wanted him to go in the long way So that when you go in the long way, all the rust, all the mud, all the dirt, all the hurt feelings, all the brokenness would come out. Otherwise, patching up, other than plastering the situation. So God took them around, took them in the wilderness for 40 years. Of course, 40 means a long period and a preparation period and purification period before a significant event. So God took them 40 years. So in that journey, at a point, God spoke to them through Moses. So Moses was their lead, and he had to go to the mountain. The Lord wanted to give him the tabernacles, to 2 tablets, 10 commandments, the Decalogue. So he was there in the mountain for 40 days. Now, when Moses was not seen, God is not speaking to them, people were distracted. So we are reading, the first reading, my dear friends, we are reading Exodus 37, verse 7 onwards. If you read the first verse of that chapter, we can clearly see people wanted a tangible God. They could not see Moses. They could not hear the voice of God. They went to Aaron, their priest, and said, "We want a God to be seen. We want a God who is tangible. We want a God. We want the Moses, the mediator is not there. God is not to be seen. We wanted a God who is tangible and glittering and touchable." And they made a golden calf, my dear friends. They made a golden calf. They said they never named that golden calf Baal or Asherah or Vishnu, Gana, or whatever it is. They said, "This is our God who brought us from the captivity." They narrowed down Yahweh to a golden calf. That is dangerous. So they have something to be seen, shining, touchable. Sometimes our problem, we want to feel God. We want to feel Him. That's exactly the problem of the Catholic Church. We don't feel, Mass is very sober. According to Roman rite, my dear friends, Mass should be sober. To be very frank, it's not right to come up and preach also. I should be here. I should be here, standing like this and preach. That is Roman liturgy. It's quite difficult for me. So I beg pardon from the Roman liturgy. And so anyway, you can't, you can make. Now I play a background music when I preach. I don't know whether it's right. Right? That's, when it comes to Roman liturgy, it's very sober. You think about elevation, through Him, with Him, and Him. Put a good sound system, and you dim the lights, and you have a few flashes, and smoke is coming. Through Him, with Him, you put a lot of bass beats, and then you play the drums, and you will feel, No. Mass is not that. You don't have to feel the presence to have the presence. You don't have to feel the presence to have the presence. It's beyond our feelings. It's beyond our feeling. That's exactly, God wanted a silent time. He was silent. He has washed the plate before served the plate. In that silent time, they could not see. They could not wait in patience. And they wanted a golden calf. And my dear friends, it's easy. Aaron said, "Get all your jewelries, get all the jewelries," and they had a frame and a structure, and they had the calf. And they had a worship night, and their people all gathered and incensed the calf and hailed and said hallelujah and worship. They said, this is the God who brought us from Egyptian captivity. My dear friends, it can happen to us. It can happen to us. How can you narrow down that magnanimity of God to our mind understanding? No. That can happen to us. You can be lost in many ways. Sometimes you can be lost like a coin. A coin, when it comes to a coin is never responsible. No, coin can't walk. Coin can't decide. Coin won't jump out of the pouch and it won't go. It happens with negligence of the owner, a person, another person. We all can be lost like that. Because of our parents, because of our teachers, elders. Sometimes we were being molested, used, raped. I mean, the way we were beaten, it's terrible. It can happen. You know, I am a person who was punished a lot. Of course, I deserve punishment the things I did. That's another story. My mother couldn't control me. And she used to open the bathroom and lock me there and switch off the lights and keep me in the bathroom. Because she couldn't hit me and she couldn't correct me. Of course, she asked pardon for that. She said, sorry, Pute, I didn't know what to do. And things can happen. Things can happen. My dear friends, we can be lost like a coin. Everyone, we are all wounded people. We are not responsible. And then we can be lost like a sheep, where we are partly responsible. And that sheep, that sheep never thought that he would lose the flock. That sheep went away. Maybe nice grass, too attached. The voice of the shepherd is lost. And that sheep is engrossed in the grass and glued there, and focus is lost. And then he was little stubborn. He wanted little go away and find that stream by itself. Sometimes foolish decisions that we make is the reason for our loss. Partly responsible. Partly responsible. When comes to the coin, the owner, the particular woman in the parable, goes in search of it. Light a lamp and goes in search of it, because that person is that coin is completely ignorant and innocent. So God will find us, my dear friends. God will find us, open the doors for us. That mercy would come down from heaven because He needs us, my dear friends. And when it comes to sheep, you can't be going further. For the sheep, for the shepherd to find you, you need to be entrapped, entangled, and stuck in some thorny bush. And you have to shout, bah, bah, bah. You have to shout. You have to realize that I'm stuck. The shepherd would come. Keep in the 99, Keep in the 90. That's a beautiful part of God's mercy. You cannot understand. I mean, it's not rational at all to keep the 9 coins and try to find the lost one. That's the nature of God. Keep the 99 in open land, open place, and you find the lost one. I mean, you're putting the 99 at risk to find the lost one. What a foolish decision in that way. For that, you have to understand the culture there. When it comes to shepherd and sheep, the relationship was so strong. That bond is so strong. You know the sheep by the name. So losing a sheep, I mean, it's losing part of your life. So, both the stories, I mean, all the stories, after finding the coin, she will have a party. After finding the sheep, they will have a party. You know, you find one silver coin, and to the party, you will lose the nine silver coins. If you have to have a party, you will lose everything. You know, and for the party, you will lose everything. And you find the one lost sheep. For the party, you killed another fatted sheep. You know, and what is the use of it? You know. That's the nature of heavenly glory, heavenly bliss and happiness. The moment you are repentant, metanoia, shub, moment you have that U-turn in your life. It's amazing love, my dear friends. It's amazing love. Heaven is grieving. Heaven is yearning. Heaven is waiting until you turn. You will have that U-turn. I mean, it's not easy. Imagine. The Lord is coming here. Imagine, Lord is leaving heaven and coming to the world to find the lost one. I have done this earlier also. Imagine, if you can remember. I mean, middle of the mass, sermon is going and Father is missing, you know. For what? To go out of the altar, cameramans are lost. To go out of the altar, the reason should be grievous. There's some serious reason for me to go out. Because the gathering, it's mass. For the Lord to come from heaven to the world. Sin is not a minute thing to deal with. It's a serious matter. Because you're lost. You're lost. We all are the parts of the body of Christ. And He is the head. If one part is lost, the whole body suffers. That's exactly why the lost one is important. Don't ever think this 99 is sometimes in your life. You have everything. One side. You are fallen into bad habit. Drinking, pornography, whatever it is, you lie, you steal. One lost sheep is there. He wants that to be back. Don't ever overlook. Our God is waiting. He wants you in totality, as a total being. Realize that you're lost. The moment you realize it, my dear friends, you will find it. It's important when it comes to prodigal son, the third parable. That prodigality of that son, you know, he plans it. He plans it because, you know, father, old man, and boring, all conservative things, you know, oh, same way, you know. I want some change, you know. He look into the sights and, the tamashas of the world and then partying. And he looks into all the sights of nightclubs and joy, happy kicks and thrills in the world. And look at the father, old guy, boring. That's how the evil one distracts you. So he plans. So he says, comes one day and tell the father, Father, I want my share. Not to go away. Sin won't come like a thunderbolt. No, it's step by step. Then he said, Father, I want my share. To ask the share is a mortal sin in that culture. You consider, you read Deuteronomy chapter 31. We'll read and see. 30 verse 31. You can stone the son who is prodigal, who wastes the property. You ask for the property, which means you are not enough. You put the father into disgrace. Kind of, you say that you are dead. Better you die because I want my share. That's a terrible sin in their culture. They can stone the son to death. That is the gravity of that sin. But the father is silent. And if you read carefully, that's a very reason that I came late. We have over 3 pages gospel. I was lost there. And if you read carefully, Father, what happened? He divided the property, and he divided his property between them. Not only the younger son, even he gave the property to the elder one. Of course, their culture, 1/3 is given to the younger one, 2/3 is given to the elder one. But the elder one stays. What happened in the journey? The second step. The younger son gathered all he had. He took a journey into a far country. Shall we all repeat? Far country. Again. 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 This is the problem. You go away from the presence. That is the reason for you to sin. Always, even the sheep, the flock, the wolf will attack the lost one. You will separate the sheep from the flock. Then easy to attack. The coin is separated from the flock. Then it is lost. So you will take the prey out of the flock. Easy to attack. This happened in our family. You know, today I heard another priest has left. I mean, we are shocked to hear. Last month, another priest, a young priest, he's a very studious person. The second priest, he's a professor. I mean, he's an elder brother to me. We used to look up to that person. I mean, it's when today Cardinal, when he was speaking, he was advising all the newly appointed priests and said, it's important that you come together as a class, come together as a Presbyterian, as a flock. It's important when you come together, you are protected. My dear friends, it's important that you can be lost with your phone, with your isolations, you know. Then it's easy to attack. Don't come to the table. You don't have meals together. You're always alone in the room, you know, with your phone. Dangerous. Family is family. Always remember this. So what happened? So you have been separated. He went far. You have to understand the nature, you know. The sin will thrill you at the very outset, you know. At the very beginning, it gives you a lot of thrill and enjoyment, and you enjoy it and fun and all that, you know. Otherwise, you won't be distracted. For you to be distracted, sin should be more attractive. That's exactly in the Garden of Eden. All the fruits, they will look the same. Man comes to the forbidden tree of knowledge. It looked very nice, eye-catching, you know, tasty, look tasty. Then only you will be distracted. And I understand this. Sin is like a credit card. What, Pute? Sin is like a credit card. What? You enjoy now, pay later. Enjoy now. Credit cards, it's a trap, you know. You will be lost. They will give more, increase the balance, you know, increase the margins. No problem. Put the card, enjoy. You will have, you know, with interest you have to pay. Enjoy now, pay later. So enjoy merrymaking and all that, okay, fun. And then what happened? Then the second step, you have to understand. John chapter 10 verse 10. Devil is a thief. He comes to devour, destroy and kill, you know. For then he had to show you, trap you, then squeeze you. My dear friends, then what happened? And when we had spent everything, a severe famine arose in the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country. I mean, he's a Jew and going to a pagan land. He's hiring himself, means your sin will give you thrill, enjoyment, and then at a point you have been trapped and you be addicted. And it becomes an addiction. Addiction, you know. Those who smoke, You become chain smokers. I know people, they need in the morning, they need to smoke to go to the toilet. Otherwise they can't. I mean, you're trapped. You think that you enjoy the cigar. You can enjoy the cigarette. No, cigarette will enjoy you. It will devour you. You smoke one cigarette, you will lose your life in a few minutes, Nicotine is something terrible. You know it. In the cigarette packet also, they have legally put all the mouth cancer photos and cancer. You look at it and you are addicted. You know it, still you do it. You can't help. You can't help it, my dear friends. That's addiction. You hire yourself, and then what? You fall so cheap that you are happy to eat from the pots of the pig, that piggery fish food, I mean that dirt, that smelling, that kind of thing you enjoy it. Pigs will eat anything. Those days, Payagala side, I was born and bred in Kalutara, Payagala side, in their toilets, sorry, I have to tell this, in their toilets, they have a bucket outside the toilets. All the excretion will go to that bucket and pigs would come and eat direct food for them. No lavatory pits are there, only buckets. Pigs would eat and they will eat, we eat pig's meat. That's kind. No, this is pig's food, It's terrible. In sin, you will become an animal. Sometimes in sin, you become a rascal, In sin, you become carnal. You will look at your daughter lustfully. You will rape them. You will do anything. You will in sin. I know a person, and he cut his own mother's finger. I mean, to get the wedding ring, to have drugs. You fall that cheap. And the word says, no one gave him anything. Zero. Flat. Then he came to his senses. Beautiful. My dear friends, it's providence. You should suffer. In sin, you should suffer. You have, leeches, Kudella, leeches. When they bite, you don't feel it. Mosquitoes, terrible nuisance, and you eat, you hit and you have vaporizers and nets. Imagine a leech. A mosquito would be like a leech. No feel. And in the morning you enjoy your sleep as you get up, cock-a-doodle-doo. In the morning, no problem. Most of us would be dead if the mosquitoes are like leeches. Because we don't feel the stink. We don't feel when it bites. It's good that you feel the pain. In sin, you should suffer. Otherwise, you will be numb, spiritual leprosy. You don't feel what is happening. You should feel it. So he suffered and he came to senses. What is the senses? My father would punish me and he will keep me sit on the electric chair and he will nail me. No, senses. What is the sense? How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread? I mean, the love of the Father. The food that I eat, the stinking, festering food that I eat, these piggery pots, But then my Father, the realization is God's love. Nothing else. He comes back, my dear friends. He comes back. And the Father, this is the problem of this parable. It's long. Father have sinned, and he has his own prayer. Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. That's how he comes. And he rose and came to his father. He decides, unlike the coin and sheep, not the father. Your father can't come, He will be there at the very point of lost, losing point. But you have trodden away. If you have gone away, it's your decision to have that metanoia, having that realization. You should come back. God will never bulldoze his way. God will never point a pistol and said, come back. Point a gun and said, come back. No. It's your choice. God will wait until you come. That's the third stage of sin. When you become the prodigal son. When you decide to do, you have to come back. It's your decision to come to the confession. Come for the confession. And confession, then kneel and confess your sins to a father. It's important that you be reconciled in a sacramental reconciliation. That's confession. It's your decision. So he comes, but then there's a problem with the parable. In the translation, of course, as the father have sinned against heaven and before you. So, and he rose and came back to his father. But while he was still long way off, his father saw him. How can that old man see the son coming from long way? No phones to inform, no message, no nothing, no way of communicating, But then every day, he used to wait for the son. Shoes are ready. Best garment is ready. The ring is ready. Everything is ready. Why everything is ready? Father always knew my son would come. Heaven is waiting for you. All what you have lost, all what you have wasted does not matter. Heaven is waiting for you, for your conversion, for your metanoia, my dear friends. So he's waiting until the son comes, and he sees. Are you still with me? Are you still with me? 7:22. Sorry, blame me after that. I can't send you in the middle of the parable. It's beautiful. It's terribly beautiful. When, that culture, there are small villages, small towns. Everyone knows when the sun goes away. So they know. So had the strangers find the sun coming, they can shame the sun. They have some seeds in their culture. They are not stones, After judgment, they can stone the sun. So to shame the sun, they can throw the seeds and reject the sun. So that's exactly why Father is careful. Father is careful, my dear friends. So some scholars name the parable running father. Running father, parable of the running father. So what happened? My dear friends, but while he saw and felt compassion and ran and embraced and kissed him. Puthe, my dear friends, Palestinian fathers, Jews fathers, they don't run. They might run in the treadmill. If they have cholesterol or something. Normally they are very respectable, Fathers, they don't run. Fathers, they don't run. Imagine, you run, imagine I run in the, I become a misfit, They fathers, they don't run. For a Jew to listen to the parable, they are shocked to hear, they will be shocked to hear father running to the son. God shows how the mercy of the Father. He will break the tradition, he will break the taboos to run to the son. And that's the problem in the parable. Son would say, Father, I have sinned against you, God, and forgive me, keep me. That's his imagination. Puthe, come, remove your spectacle. Kannadigal. So come. So imagine, and you come and say, Father, I have forgiven you, I have sinned against you. How can you say once, Father, embrace him tight, he won't be able to speak. That is the original translation. Father never loved him to speak. I don't mind what happened. I don't mind what you have lost. Everything is ready, my son. A ring denotes a new ring, denotes the heritage. You belong to me. And the robe, new cloak, new garment denotes the new life. Shoes, slaves, they don't allow to wear shoes. Shoes are ready. You are no longer slave. You are my son. And the fatted calves, the merrymaking of heaven, the real joy of repentance is ready for you, my dear friends. So that's how the enjoyment comes. But then the eldest son, he could not come inside. He could not forgive, He could not, though he did the commandments, literally never enjoy the love of the Father. That's the Pharisees and high priest there. My dear friends, St. Paul is one of the high priests, one of the priests, one of the Pharisees, converted. And St. Paul is saying, I was a sinner. And because of the mercy of God, I'm transformed. I have mercy. Now I am serving the Lord. That is the prodigal son. We don't know what happened to the prodigal son after the conversion. That is the meaning of your conversion. To serve. It is given, the mission of reconciliation is given to us. St. Paul started preaching everywhere. He said, I'm the greatest sinner of all. And I found the mercy of God. And I was turned. Saul became Paul with a fall. And he became a missionary. So God will forgive us. Enjoy that forgiveness. Put aside all the labels, your judgments, your conclusions. No. God has a new plan with you. And enjoy that freedom. Enjoy that mercy. And go out to the world and shout out and say that our God is love. He loves you, come what may. Every sinner every saint has a sinful past. And every sinner will have a saintly future. Enjoy that future. Bridge the turning point. The turning point is the mercy of God. Have mercy and enjoy that mercy. Encounter God's love and have that U-turn in your life and enjoy that freedom and be a sermon. Proclaim to the world that God is love and mercy. Amen.